Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. I am still all wrong. My breathing's bad, my throat's sore, I keep coughing and my eyes stream, my nose stream. It's absolutely wonderful. Really pleasant. And then you add the heat on top of that, because I think this I would have whether it was hot or not. You add the heat in and then you get the lack of sleep and everything piles on. But then I still have an attitude that there's a lot worse off than me. At least I'm still on my feet. Although I'd prefer not to be. I'd prefer to be flaked out in my comfy chair with the fan on full blast. With a little bit less clothing than I've got on. This is the first time I've actually got dressed since I came home on Sunday. Anyway, I won't say it's comfortable out here to work, but this watering has to be done. So this is a chatty while I water type video. That's all I'm doing, but I need to get some water on these plants. I won't say it's a day overdue, but given the weather we've had, yes it is. Should have been done yesterday. I just didn't feel up to it yesterday, but we will give it a go today. So I'm doing this lot over here. I know we've done them before, but these are the first ones to be done. Right, there will be interruptions. Tough. You've got two choices, haven't you? Same as I've got two choices, film or not film. And I just think, well, as I'm doing something, I can chat away while I'm doing it, can't I? So we will do what we normally do. Just have a quick look at each plant. It won't be a detailed look. This is not a very successful plant, but it's coming on. This is Black Comet. It's a Orchid, but it's close to a Prosthetia basically. It's got a bit of scale on it, this one, which I keep niggling away at. It's not taking over or anything, and it's been doing very little for some considerable time, but it does now have a new growth. Now I can see that there's a bit of silhouetting going on. That's because the camera's pointing towards the bright light. I will electronically fiddle with that eventually. Right, nobody's getting any food today. I have discovered that this business of never using absolutely clean water is, strictly speaking, a little bit of a misdemeanor. I'll tell you why. Last time I effectively used just pure water on the Phalaenopsis, I took out an amount, because obviously I'm working in the kitchen, I took out an amount in the dish and I watered them all. The TDS of that water when I'd finished was 260. All of that had been washed out of the pots. So strictly speaking, when I wet the media like this with clean water, it reactivates the salts that were left in there when the last feed dried, because the orchid didn't use it all. So it's not as bad as it sounds. But that's what they're getting. And this one's also pushing out some new roots, I notice. So this one's coming back to life basically. You see the now I'm going to have to drip all over my table. New roots down in here. So that's that. There's only a couple on this shelf now because they've been moved, because one's in bloom and one's about to be, so they're over the other side now. Now this is a Prosthetia, and it's a species, and it's Pachycephala. I don't particularly like this one. The other big division that I had, I gave to Helen, and she loves it. But then she hasn't had it long. I got a bit fed up with it. I kept this piece. It's got a new growth here, another new growth here, and a pot full of roots. It's doing okay. And we should get a flower spike on at least one of those new growths, if not both. It's been a reliable bloomer. Yeah, it has quite a tall flower spike, and at a distance the flowers look really uninteresting, but they warrant close inspection. They're very pretty, but they're spaced out. You know, they've got quite big gaps between them. Oh, this thing, how this hasn't ended up in the bin, I really don't know. So there's a few dead leaves. This is old bulbs basically. It's a very old plant, this one, I've had it ages. And this is it's an Oncostelli and it's Catatanti. Actually it's not, it's Catatanti, why won't you bloom? I've had it years and it just won't bloom. Damn thing. It actually went in for sale once and didn't get sold, so it came home. I left the label on there because I'll probably do it again sometime. Pot's full of algae. It's got loads of growths and no spikes. It's a flipping nuisance. So I've actually got two of them. I split it into three. Somebody else had one, and at the time I kept two. Now to try and get some blooms, they're getting treated totally differently. This one's in an area where it doesn't get that excessive bright light at the end, and it gets watered regularly along with all the other orchids. The other one is in the bright light and doesn't get watered hardly ever. I thought I will starve you and see if I can threaten you with death. You might put some spikes out. It has been known to work. But whether it will work this time, I don't know. Right, so that's that little shelf. As I say, there's not much on that shelf at the moment because a lot of it's been moved. The big dendrobium that has is a type of, it's an infundibulum cross basically, although I have no name for it. It's over there because it's in bloom, so that's why that one's not there. Now this is Paphiopedilum with a big long name. And this one's got a couple of mealybugs on it. Now I'm expecting to get some bugs because the door's wide open. It has been for a couple of days now, and it will be for a couple of more days. And that's how it's going to be. But this is the sort of thing you find. That growth has rotted. It's completely gone. Now it's bloomed, so it's an old growth, but the joint has rotted, so it needs to come off. Like so. That's probably due to being too wet before it was repotted. Whereas the growth around this side is new. So this is now the old growth, and that's a new growth. It's never been very successful, this one. It won't grow roots. So, but it's quite a unusual one. Sometimes wish I hadn't got it. I paid quite a bit for it as well. But it just isn't a one that works well for me compared with some of the other paths. I was hoping the recent repot would stimulate some root growth, but so far no. That's that one. And then this is my Sarcochilis, which is doing very well. Just growing on nicely. It pushed out a flower spike on this long extended growth. This growth here is now extending as well. Sorry, I'm going to be off the camera a bit because it's at a strange height. And other growths look like they might start to move. It's got good roots, so it's doing okay. Tray next. what I usually do is I take the Masdevallia out before I water it, because it's got a drip tray, and that means I can get at the others reasonably easily. This is Blackjack, recently repotted. Roots haven't made their way to the edge of the pot yet, but this had good roots. It should grow on nicely. It's in quite small bark, this one. The idea being it will actually stay hydrated a bit better, because it was drying a bit too quick with the old media, which I know sounds odd because it's usually the other way round, but it didn't stay hydrated very well. The media was a bit big, so lots of gaps, but this is doing okay. It's a nice plant. And then this is, it's not a miserable failure, but it's not flipping far off. This is a Dracuvalia, and it's a letter page. It was a gift from Lynn, and it has a new growth, and it has 1 or 2 new roots, but apart from that it's a miserable failure. It just will not grow for me. But at least it's got a new growth, so that only gets a trickle because there's, you know, there's no roots to actually use up the water, so there's no point in getting it soaking wet. And then the other one lurking around the back here is my little Paphiopedilum that again will not grow roots, and it's just not using up the water. This is still wet, I'm not putting any water in there. But it's Appletonianum, lovely patterning leaves, nice new growth coming out here. And it looks like another one down there as well, but they just won't grow roots, so it's not exactly healthy, but it has bloomed. They do some daft things, don't they? Won't grow roots. That's about as big as it gets. It is a genuine miniature. And then, as I've explained with this Masdevallia, it had a lot of aerial roots. They're not potted in anything, they've just got moist sphagnum moss around them. It's not tightly packed, it's quite loose, and the media only comes up to about there, where the actual roots are. Lots of new growths on this. Yeah, lots. So it's growing well, but there's no sign of any more spikes yet. So we're on the last bloom at the moment. It's difficult to tell if I'm overwatering this really, because the pot's heavy when it's wet or dry, and I can't see it because it's clay pot. I just go by the moss. If the moss is dry, then I assume the media is quite dry underneath it, and the clay pot would allow it to drain, to dry quite quickly anyway. So and all of those live in one of the trays with the matting, which gives them some extra humidity. Right. This makes my watering a lot easier, these trays, because I'm picking up multiple plants all in one go, only taking a couple of steps, whereas before it would a couple of steps to pick a plant up, a couple of steps to put it back, a couple of steps to get, yeah, so it's cutting down the walking time and therefore the effort. Bonus. Right, so we've got another Masdevallia here. I will get out the way. And then we've got a big Paphiopedilum here that's recently been repotted and doesn't have very good roots, and it's still wet, so it won't get any. This is White Lady. It's a nice strong plant, but it's not getting going following its repot. It looks like it's stalling, but it's very easy to overwater when they do that, because they usually stop growing. They just cease. They don't die or anything like that, they just stop for a while, and it probably doesn't like this heat either, so we won't put any water on that one. That's still wet from last time. And this one This is Extianum, so natural hybrid. This has got roots, again recently repotted. It's a nice strong plant, it's got stacks of new growths. This one's doing okay. My poor old Cymbidiums are going to have to wait, because that's hard work. They're heavy, everything's clumsy, it's a big job. I'm not doing that while I feel like this. So they're due in the next couple of days. They'll wait till the weekend. It won't hurt them when it's going to cool down, unless they change their mind, of course. They have been known to change their mind, but at the moment they've been right hot and humid, and quite honestly I'm sure some people are suffering quite badly. Now, I'm not giving this one any water because this one's got holes in, and I can see that the moss is wet down in the pot, and certainly the top moss is wet. This had an in-between watering, that's why it's still wet now, so we won't put any on that. Again, nice new growth showing, it's coming on. And this is Masdevallia Veitchiana. The Ignea that we saw earlier with the bloom, and this one, Veitchiana, they are main components in many Masdevallia hybrids. So that's that shelf done. I'm not doing my mounts today. They were done yesterday, and those with a fair bit of moss don't need doing every day. The bare rooted ones do. So we'll do this one now while I'm there. This is the only one over here. This is my Psychopsis. We've had a bit of a failure here because both of the buds have blasted and fallen off. So what looked like it was possibly going to bloom, the buds blasted. So they weren't getting their colour ready to open, they were dropping. But this bud's pushing on a little bit now, hopefully this one will follow. And the new growth down in here is doing okay, that's pushing on, and there are some new roots showing, so it's doing okay. It must be loving this heat. Well, a lot more than it's going to love my winter when we get there. But the leaves and bulbs aren't shrivelling any more than they were when I got it. So it's doing okay, it's hanging on. So that's that. Another tray. This is all Oncidium types basically, just sat in here. These were all rescues at one point. Some are rescued, some are not so rescued. This one's definitely rescued. Nice pot full of roots. Last bulb is reasonable, and a nice strong new growth coming with new roots coming out. It's got an old bulb that ought to come off really, but that'll happen because it will need to go in a bigger pot eventually. But yeah, that's recovered, that's doing okay, and that is, oh, it's actually got a name. It's in remembrance of Burkhard Holm, whoever he or she was. Burkhard, I think that's a man's name, isn't it? Not one I've ever come across. And then this one has one of the dreaded close pegs. Because it leans this way, by pegging it that side it stops it leaning. But to get it out, obviously I have to get the peg off. Now again, this one's done roots and has a lovely strong new growth. This is just says Oncidium hybrid, so if it puts a spike up on that growth, I will let it continue and bloom, but not leave the blooms on there for their full time. There's not enough plant there, it would sap the strength, so we'll let it bloom so that I can get a bit better idea on it. Because hybrid, well, it says hybrid 2, so in theory in my notes there's probably a reasonable description. Possibly, who knows. Oh, and some not good news either. Hannah's got what I've got. Well, bearing in mind this started like Sunday, and we had a long journey home in the car. It stood to reason really, but she'll get it a lot worse than me. She always does. Anything throaty or chesty, she gets real bad. Now this one's sort of recovered. The new growth has got plenty of new roots coming out that are going down in the pot, and it has some already there, but the previous bulbs are a bit shriveled. So that last one was hybrid 2, this is hybrid 1. Whatever that means. These would have been ones that I just bought on the spur of the moment, probably from Spice Exotic. You know, nice flowers, must have sort of thing. And a lot of those Oncidium types like that, I don't worry if they haven't got a name. That's that. Turn the tray round. There are the others. Right, what's this one doing? Not a lot, I don't think. It's got a tag on it, but I can't read it, it's gone. Ah, I know what it is. It's a Miltonia hybrid of some sort, and it has lovely purple flowers on. If it recovers, it's not doing very well in the root department at the moment, but it does have 2 new growths, so it's recovering, but it's far from recovered. The plant should be quite a bit bigger than that. When that was in bloom once, this is going back to when I was a member of Orchids, the Bournemouth Orchid Society, that got a first. Wouldn't get one now, would it? Went downhill badly. That's the trouble. A lot of the Oncidiums do that. Right. Now this one says hybrid 2 as well. So this one was obviously one that had 2 in the pot and got potted separately. Again, this recovered nicely, a nice new bulb. And why is this soaking wet? Ah, because I've already watered that one. You've already seen that. Forgot I turned the tray around. He's tired. Well, he is actually. Right, this is Nellie Isla Red Velvet. It's not doing very well, but it's not dying. It needs to get a new growth going, which it hasn't done so far. It's not very good. That's another one that didn't have very good roots. But, it's got signs of new roots coming, but it's not doing very well. They're difficult to keep going, the Nellie Islas. So why did I come home with another one? Well, I just did. And then this one is I think this is the last remaining one of Derek's plants. This is Oncidium laevi, and the latest growth is putting out some new roots. That needs, if I'm going to keep it, that needs repotting, because this is old media and very old tired roots. Now those new roots are not going to do well in that media. That's still wet from last time. It's not using up the water. That means the media's old. Right, I'm not going to put that tray back. I'll put it over to one side, and then we'll get the rest on this shelf down. Right, so this is one of the Sabine Mayers, although it's it has got another name that is that ought to be used in this country, because this is what it's registered as somewhere else. I don't know where. over in the Far East somewhere, but this is the piece that didn't have very good roots, and it still hasn't. It needs a new growth. The other plant is, I don't know. I haven't got a clue where it is. It went to the NEC. Peter, the chairman, picked up all the plants on his way home from holiday, which was nice of him, on Sunday, late on Sunday, and brought all the plants back. Where mine is, I don't know. It could be with Lynn, it could be with Peter, but either way it should turn up at the next meeting. And I just hope it's still okay. The blooms started dropping on the second day of the show, so it was okay for judging, but I said it wouldn't last. They took it anyway, but at least they were warned. It wasn't a surprise. This is one of the Shelob Maries, which was originally thought to be Shelob Tolkien, but when it bloomed it wasn't. Got split into two. This is one piece. Two new Ow. Two new growths with new roots coming. And this is the other one. Oof. Again, this split plant. This one again has two new growths, but this one's doing much better in the root department. Look. Yeah, here we go. Coughing fit, so then your nose starts running. At least it's predictable. On Sunday evening when I got back after taking Hannah home, my nose would not stop running. And I have a simple question. Where does it come from? Where's it all coming from? There's some strange bodily functions as humans. I don't know what purpose a runny nose actually has. Right, this is the other Catatanti, and aha! I see a new growth. I'd like to see more than one. Right, no water for you, matey. I think it's missed 2 watering runs so far, which probably means it's probably 5 or 6 weeks since it actually saw any water. Right, these plants I bring over one at a time because the table's full. Now this is I was going to say my only Cattleya, but I did buy another one. This will not grow very well at all. This is the one that, well, one of the Cattleyas that managed to survive, but when I did that bleach treatment that I did wrong on all my Cattleyas with scale, most of them died. And this one managed to hang on, but it's never grown properly since. It's almost as though there's some sort of cellular damage, which is quite possible. But we do have some signs of root growth. So at the moment, and the fact that it has smashing flowers, I keep it. It's not dead. It doesn't look very good, does it? And that's the one with all the red in the name. It's I've forgotten now, but it's red something or other, and it's got red dragonfly in the name as well. But the tag's completely faded. That's long since gone. That's that one. And this is my species Brassia, varicosum. Oops. That's the variety Sea Breeze, which I think is one of Burnham's specials. Latest new growth is pushing out strong new roots, and the pot's already full of roots. I'm going to leave it in this pot because it seems to be doing so well. I don't want to disturb it. And if you look at the size of the bulb, there is room for that new growth right up to the edge of the pot, because the roots will be down in the pot before it swells and moves out to the side, so it can stay in there. At one point I was reasonably certain that this plant had fusarium, but it got treated, and if it did have, I don't think it has any more, because it's growing too well. It's growing too strong to have that particular fungus, which really sort of drains the plant. And this is my Laelia anceps, which I'm still looking for a new growth. I haven't got one yet, but I am getting some root growth now, some tips showing and some root activity. So not that long ago that was repotted. But we did actually get a very weak spike with one flower on the last growth, which was this one, which is growing roots now. Now on this one, that precedes the new growth, does the roots first. Or you could say it does the roots after it blooms on the bulb. They're both the same. Right, and then we've got the silly big thing, the lavender. And this is not, it looks awful because of the yellow leaves. They will drop eventually, but it's coming into root growth. It's now pushing out a lot of new roots from the stem, and it's also got a lot of root growth going on down in the pot. So it's growing a lot of roots, so it should stay healthy now. It's growing at the top as well. There's a new leaf coming, that was the last one. So, but it just doesn't look an elegant plant. It could even push a spike out this year. Because the thing is, with the way that it's potted now, it gets a chance to hydrate. But when it was sort of bare rooted, you pour the water on the roots and most of it runs off before the roots are hydrated. There's enough roots in this bark, which does stay wet a while, that they actually get properly hydrated now, which is which means the plant's growing better. So these new big roots coming out of the stem, they've got new root syndrome. They won't hydrate. They don't go green at all. The older ones do, but the new ones don't. They will eventually. Right, so that's where it goes. That's that shelf done. So the three that are in the really bright light are the Laelia anceps, the Vericosa and the Vanda. Followed by the Capia, doesn't get quite so much, and the Catadante. I'm sure it doesn't like it. It is an Oncidium type. It's an Oncostelli, so it's an Oncidium crossed with something. I'm sure it doesn't like quite so much bright light, but it's getting it anyway. Fed up with the flipping thing not blooming. And then that one's in the bright light position, but it sits behind the Vanda. And then this one comes in a bit. And this one just sits in wherever there's a bit of space, basically. And the tray goes back. The tray's up this end of the shelf, so that although that gets bright light, it doesn't get the bright light. It doesn't get that sun coming through the roof. It's filtered sun, but it would be a bit too much for some of these as they are coming out of the rescue phase. Oh, I'm looking forward to my break at the end of this shelf. Tired. Right, so this is one of my zygos. This is Louisendorf. Well, it doesn't flipping look like it. It does have a new growth. It's recovering basically. It was a bit of a mess. And it does have roots. So it is recovering. If it can put a decent sized bulb up this time with active roots, then it will be recovered. But it's taken a while to do that. It's taken a long while. Sat there doing nothing for ages. So, doing something now. And then this is another zygo. And it's being very silly. Put 2 spikes out of that growth. Well, I'm letting it get on with it because it's not one of my favourite plants, and if it does it in, so be it. At least we get to see the blooms. There's 5 buds there pushing on. So, and it has got some roots. Yeah, so I mean we'll see. It's a bit, I mean the previous bulb that new growth's come off of is nice and plump. So's the one before actually, so it's not that bad. There's just not much of it, you know. But, it's trying hard, that's the main thing. And it's the zygo that has the, I don't think it's actually a zygopetalum, I think it's a zygonissa. That's an intergeneric, but it has sort of very pale, I don't know, lilac-y type coloured blooms. It doesn't have the normal zygo blooms. Oh. And then the last one is my zygo species, and this is crinitum, and the 3 new growths. 3 new growths have pushed on really well. We've got a superb pot full of roots. So this is a good plant. It seems strange that it's doing infinitely better than the hybrids. It's normally the other way around. But these 3, unless this blooms differently to zygos normally push their spikes out when the new growths are quite young. And these growths are, well, they're mature as far as their leaf size is concerned, but they haven't got their full-size bulbs yet, so they haven't swollen their bulbs up. But if they were going to bloom, they would have done it by now. The spikes would have shown, unless this one blooms different and spikes after the bulbs mature. We'll find out. But if it doesn't bloom, which I suspect, then it's highly likely to bloom on the next set of new growths. This is a non-bloomer for me. This was bought out of bloom. It was at the back at one of our shows on the Burnham's display, and it just looked a good plant. And that's the thing when I'm at a show and things like that. I'm not necessarily looking at the smashing blooms, I'm looking at the best plants. Like I said, blooms will come again. If you get a good plant to start with, you've got a much better chance of keeping it going longer term. So that's the way. But you got to do throw it on the floor. That's the gap in, that's 2 shelves strapped together there, and on the bottom bit the gap's quite wide and the end of the tray went down the gap. I'm sure the rest of the world has heard about our leader resigning and what's likely to happen next. I love it when the news keep telling you what they think is going to happen. I hate to tell you guys, but when it's something you think is going to happen, it isn't news yet. It's guesswork and speculation. And that's all they can do because nothing's confirmed yet. Apart from the resignation, I mean, he stood up with the old there's quite a few of the, what do you call them, reels or shorts or things like that, with Larry the cat speaking out about his old owner and his new one coming in, and Larry the cat's more famous than the current Prime Minister or previous Prime Ministers, because he's the one that's been there the longest. Yes, I think the cat's now on his 7th Prime Minister or something. I forget how old he is. I think he's about 14, 15, something like that. The nation will be in mourning when Larry the cat dies. I'm not joking. Really popular. Some people that are in London, tourists, actually make a beeline for Downing Street to see if they can get a picture next to Larry the cat. You don't want a picture with the Prime Minister, no, like that. Especially the one that's just gone. Right, I want to get the mounts that I'm going to water finished, so I will do those. There's only a couple that are bare rooted that will get done today. They all got done yesterday. This is the Jinghuanum crossed with Bensonnier. Nice strong new growth, which is now pushing out some roots, and I really do hope those are flowers. I really do hope. One's been knocked off, but I really hope those are flowers. It'd be an odd time for a dendrobium to bloom, but it's growing okay, I'll say. Nice new growth. Hopefully if that cane can get as big as the previous one. It's obviously blooming size now, and that's purely down to the latest cane, because the previous canes are seedling canes, if that's the size it should be. So we shall see how that one does. Ooh. And this is the other bare rooted one. My Mr. Hairy and Trigonopus are also nearly bare rooted, but they must not stay wet. This one is bare rooted, it's got virtually no moss. This is doing okay. The 3 canes it's got are still, they're still all growing, but the one new growth it had failed. It just fell off, and it hasn't started another one since. But it's growing some new roots, so difficult to say what that's going to do next. Seems a healthy plant. I've forgotten what it is. It is, oh, Dendrobium J.K. Sooth. Well, obviously. Oh, and this, how's this one doing? No, this is dry as well. This Percoglossum also dries out very quickly. Most of what I thought were flower buds, or possible flower buds, have turned out to be kikis. There may be an odd flower bud on there, but I still doubt it, quite honestly. I still doubt it. We do have a slug on this one somewhere. I'm going to have to see if I can find it. So it takes the new tips off. Okay, there's enough of them. It's not like serious damage, but it's damage I can do without. And it would have come with the plant, you know. In fact, I can see one of the slug trails there. Slug or snail, it's highly likely to be a slug. And at the moment, it'll be a tiny one. But if it keeps nibbling on the plant, it'll get bigger. And then the damage it will do will start becoming substantial. So I'm going to have to try and find it at some point. But not today. Oh, it doesn't go up there. Come on, concentrate. Who's there? Right, so that'll do for today as far as filming is concerned. I'm going to have a break. Liquid. To keep the liquid going with the heat. As I said, the heat isn't increasing in here yet because the sun hasn't hit the roof. I feel sorry for the little hoverflies that have come in. And there's a lot of them, but they don't seem to be able to work out how to get out despite there being a huge door open. They just buzz around in the roof, and there's at least half a dozen up there. I mean, if they don't get out, they'll die. I haven't got a way of getting them out. Need a little net or something. But yeah, I'm working with the lounge door open, the circulating fan right in front of that opening, and the actual door wide open. That's how I'm working at the moment. And it's not keeping the heat down, but it's a lot lower than it would be if the door was shut. As I said, I'm trying it with the door shut, the fan on full and everything, and it got up 32. I can't be doing with 32. Working like this at the moment, I'm keeping it down to 28, 29. And because this heat wave has really high humidity, the air that's coming in from outside is actually quite humid, so I'm not dropping my humidity as much as I would be otherwise. It's currently 83% in here, it's more than enough. Mind you, the heat hasn't got here yet. That says 26 and that says 28, it's about 27, and this one should read true. Yeah, 26, 27 at the moment, so I can live with that. The orchids will live with it a lot better once they've all got some water. Right, so I'm going to take a break, unload the camera, and now see the rest of the watering, there's quite a lot more plants in the next lot. If I try and film that, it's going to delay me enough that I'm going to end up being in here when the sun comes round, and that's just too much heat. I can't be doing with that, so we'll leave it at that for today. What else I'm going to be filming this week I don't know, but this peak temperatures today and tomorrow, record breaking, and the worst bit is we're breaking the records for the night temperatures as well, which just makes it ridiculous trying to sleep. So it's draining the energy away. But as I said, there's other parts of Europe far worse than we are. We're just the top end of it, tip edge of it. But the weather should break over the weekend, and they haven't really told us what's happening next week yet. It's going to be a surprise. Well, given that it's Wednesday today, we should be getting a week ahead look, at least by tomorrow I think, but they're more worried about the problems with this heat, because obviously there's vulnerable people that are suffering, and there's lots of places that have got air conditioning are actually opening up to let the public in with some drinks and things to just get out of the heat somewhere sensible. And if you've got air conditioning in your home, you want to think yourself flipping lucky. It's not common in the UK, people just don't have air conditioning, because under normal circumstances we don't need it. Anyway, I'm going to go and croak somewhere else, have a drink, and sit down for a bit, and then carry on in a minute. So thanks for dropping by, and I shall see you next time. This is not as bad as it was yesterday and the day before. Might sound it, but then you didn't hear what it was like before. So I think it's on the mend. I think it would mend an awful lot quicker without this heat and the humidity and everything. So we will see how we do. And made me laugh. Somebody suggested, have you tested for COVID? How might I do that then? People haven't had COVID testers in the home for years. You know, if you get it, most people don't get it bad, and they don't even know they've had it. And it's highly unlikely anyway, but I feel sorry for Hannah, because she's probably she'll have to have time off work. The person she's a carer for, she's a one-on-one carer, they are highly vulnerable, and Hannah's not allowed near her. If she shows any signs of any infections or colds or anything, she's out, she's not allowed in. So that means she's probably off work, which means she's not getting paid, and she'll be sat in her flipping flat boiling hot. So anyway, enough of our troubles, and I will see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.